10 years ago, Aussie Dairy made a promise. A promise to protect our environment. A promise to provide the best care for our animals. A promise to build a healthier Australia. Since then, we've become global leaders in sustainable dairy production. But we won't stop there. We're taking action every day by putting initiatives in place across our entire dairy industry, because we promise to protect what matters most.
How do I check my skin? What am I looking for? And what do I do if I see a spot on my skin that I'm worried about? It's really important to check your skin and be aware of what's on your skin. You're the best judge, so you know what's on it and what's new or changing or different. We tell people to check their skin at the change of every season, so about 4 times a year. And make sure you do it systematically. So start at the places you can see and maybe ask a friend or someone at home to check your back, places you can't see. You're looking for things that stand out, that are different to their neighbours, that are growing or changing with time. And sometimes skin cancers will be tender or they'll be bleeding, but not always. So if there's something strange on your skin, make sure you go to your doctor and get it checked.
No matter who you are, you'll find a place to belong here.
Join Lions and help shape a community we're proud to call home.
And welcome to the Country Telegraph. Nice to have your company. It feels like a Thursday, doesn't it? It is a Thursday, but really it feels like a Friday because long weekend for just about everybody in Australia, except those that work in restaurants and on the land. Although I do know that everybody looks forward to a long weekend, whether you work or not. Well, that's up to you. And if you do work, well, what can I say? And our next guest, I'm sure, know all about that, except when the football's on. Looking, first of all, at some of the headlines around Australia, Rural Aid has warned that pressure is building on farmers as fuel, fertiliser and freight costs continue to climb amid ongoing global disruptions. Global supply shortages were impacting farmers at a crucial time as harvest activity ramped up and also the preparations began for winter sowing. Workers at WA's oldest dairy, Browns, will walk off the job for 24 hours after bargaining negotiations collapsed in the latest blow to the company already struggling with soaring cost. Australia's sheep flock has shrunk to a level that is threatening abattoir closures and pushing lamb prices higher. Meat and Livestock Australia says processor viability and profitability have emerged as significant and steadily worsening issues for the industry and have had also increasing impact since early 2025. Elevated prices for lamb and sheep are placing considerable pressure on processors to operate profitably. The increase in livestock prices is compounding other increasing input cost, which is not great. With the way things are rising at the moment, it's becoming quite terrifying. The Victorian Farmers Federation says the Murray-Darling Basin Authority's own analysis shows further water buybacks are unlikely to deliver significant improvements in environmental objectives across the basin and zero improvements in any Victorian river systems, including the Victoria Murray. And finally, another chapter in the collapsed agricultural portfolio of embattled businessman Sam Mitchell has closed following the sale of 3 avocado farms in far north Queensland. The sale of the 169-hectare Paddy's Green horticultural portfolio that was sort of located about 51 k's inland of Cairns as the crow flies. It's near Mareeba, has been finalised after falling into the hands of receivers almost 2 years ago. Coming up next, we'll in fact go to, I think it's Mareeba or up north anyway. This is the Country Telegraph. And welcome back to the Country Telegraph. While Australia has woken up to the follies of policies past, it's timely indeed to discuss an important project. That's a BioNQ project. Is a North Queensland-based initiative aimed at converting sugarcane into biofuels, specifically sustainable aviation fuel, renewable diesel and green methanol. Developed by Energy Estate in partnership with Queensland Cane Agriculture and Renewables, otherwise known as QCAR, it aims to leverage local agricultural resources to enhance Australia's fuel security and support the transition to lower carbon fuels. Panikos Spyrou is currently a senior executive and Russell Hall is chairman of QCAR. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me.
Good afternoon.
And a very good afternoon. Don't you love Thursdays that feel like a Friday?
It is a Friday. It's Easter.
It's Easter, that's right. And I hope the Easter Bunny can afford the fuel to get to you, by the way. Just before we get into a discussion, how is the situation at the moment up in North Queensland?
Yeah, very concerning at the present time, Mike. Most of us have got enough fuel to plant cane over the next month, but we are very concerned of the upcoming crushing, which starts around early June and goes through. And like the Burdekin alone will probably use up to 30 to 40 million litres of diesel. So we are very concerned at present.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, isn't it? Can you just introduce us to QCAR, its origins and the ownership and its primary mission? Because I think you're doing a great job too. And you're also living in God's country. I have to say, further north you go in Queensland, the better it gets until you hit the water. It's not very nice at all. So tell us about the company itself, QCAR.
QCAR has sort of long sort of roots about it. It was started off as Pioneer Cane Growers Organisation, which then became Burdekin Cane Ag Organisation. Then we brought in dual membership from the Invicta Ag Force Group, and that formulated QCAR, so Queensland Cane Agriculture Renewables. And for that reason, Mike, we brought in the renewable part because we knew that current income streams of just crystal wouldn't be enough for our farmers down the track, and the renewable space, which we've talked about for over 10 years now, something finally had to happen to give our growers some more revenue streams to future guard our generations to come.
The BioNQ project, tell us about that.
I had my original meeting with Mark probably getting close to 2 years ago, initial meeting down in Melbourne, and it's gone from there. And we liked the idea that we could turn not only our feedstock, we burn a lot of that up every year, and where we could turn that into biodiesel. So we started this journey probably a good 18, 20 months ago. I'm not realising now with the fuel and power crisis that we've got at first hand that this has sort of come at a very good time.
Yeah, and at the moment, the world's screaming out for another alternative, take away the windmills and these solar farms. And this seems to be perfect, but how far away are we from fully fledged production, or any sort of production for that matter?
Panikos?
I think we're looking at it's a 3-year project, effectively, from the time in which construction finally starts, actually, Mike.
Well, that's not very far at all. But at the moment, we are in short supply of anything that makes the vehicle move forward or backwards. And we really do need these products. Do you see this as an answer for Australia? Because, take away all the renewables. We actually, when I say renewables, I mean the windmills and the solar farms and the EVs. We do need trucks. We need lots of trucks, and I really haven't seen a whole lot of alternatives to diesel and the trucks and the tractors that use it. So this then would replace, am I right? This would then replace what we have at the moment, and it would it probably ensure us that we have that fuel security.
Well, it's certainly a start, Mark. Ultimately, this project will produce 160,000 tonnes of jet fuel, effectively, or sustainable aviation fuel, and 15,000 litres of biodiesel, and also raw methanol. Now, ultimately, these numbers aren't going to meet the national requirements by no means. Ultimately, for us, it meets our circular bioeconomy objectives that we have as a vision, and this man next to me, Russell Hall, had this vision some 5 years ago. And ultimately, it's designed for us, and why it's so attractive to us as growers is ultimately we need an alternative revenue stream from our sugarcane. So I'll shift the focus, if I may, Mike, to ultimately that, in that, yes, it will assist in meeting some demand with regards to immediate fuel requirements. However, this project was not initially designed for meeting that, given this current crisis that we have as a result of the Middle East war. It's about adding new revenue streams to sugarcane and other crops as well for green energy solutions.
Tell me about your partners. For example, Energy Estate. Tell us about them and what they're offering at the moment.
Well, ultimately, they've come to us with a number of solutions. Ultimately, they've come with a fresh, new outlook on how we engage with our partners. Firstly, they want to be in partnership with our growers. Our underlying suppliers are to be part owners of the project and have a sense of ownership, and therefore feel great comfort in supplying such a mill that's going to be producing such material. Now, so ultimately a factory. Now, this factory is going to be not too far away, but ultimately, as the focus is as joint partners.
And what about the Queensland government? How are they involved?
Not involved yet, Mike. The perk sort of came out on the 31st. We've gone through that in detail. Even though it's great to see a government finally looking at the sugar industry as an alternative answer, we applaud the state government for doing that. I don't think it's gone far enough to give us mandates on a floor price or basically the usage of it. So that's probably where QCAR will lead that conversation with the state government and start to engage with ministers and DGs on that part.
Yeah, isn't it amazing what a crisis does? It sort of re-establishes the thought process. And it is a crisis at the moment. It's one that's not going to get much better at all. It's going to get worse before it gets better. What about investors? Because I have to say, biofuels are the way to go. I mean, it's it's like having 1,000 oil wells, isn't it? We've got such resources here. we'd be just silly and stupid and ignorant not to pursue this, because it's exactly what we need, though. What about those who want to invest in this? Are you taking investors at the moment, or are you doing it steady as she goes?
Still in the early stages, Mike, of the whole where it's going to land, but the sugar industry for years have been known as not only a great sequester and a carbon positive crop, but it's our lifeblood of the whole east coast of Queensland. And we saw what happened up at Mossman. So I'd actually like to see down the track in the future that our investors are actually local communities, our mill workers, our communities, our business people. This is just not a project for growers and millers. For way too long, we've been caught up with ICE Exchange, New York Exchange price, spot price, and we're basically, as they say, we're price takers. And we're very vulnerable. I'm hoping that this equity control across the whole community safeguards us.
I would imagine the local farmers, the sugarcane growers, are almost beside themselves, and I can imagine they'll be ripping out their teeth and putting those into a glass of water, making that wish that the ferry would bring a good news story for them. And I would imagine some of those haven't got many teeth left. But what is the attitude? What is I would imagine there's a lot of enthusiasm from the locals, but what about council? Are they getting behind this? Because this is, it's sort of not reinventing the wheel, but what it's doing is it's instead of having one product and doing something that they've done for many decades, it gives you now another direction to take that is not going to destroy what you're doing. It's going to enhance what you do, but it's going to utilise all your resources. Council, are they right behind it?
Yeah, I can't talk for the local one, but the Townsville City Council is right behind this. They can see, basically, you've got Burdekin and Herbert 100 kilometres either side of Townsville, which is our major regional city up here. Nick is very excited about the prospects of this going ahead, and not only this project, but we've also got the one in Townsville that's just started recently as well. So yeah, there is a lot of optimism. As I said, we've been talking about this for 10 years with nothing, and as I said, I really applaud the current state government for looking into this. And this all happened before the war, Mike, which is the great thing about it. We're just not looking at it because a crisis is upon us. We had the foundations and the legwork happening before the war, which is exciting for us.
Yeah, normally politicians or state government don't get a whole lot of praise, but I think Spyrou is he's on the right track here, and a big pat on the back to him. But if he's watching at the moment, don't get too cocky.
No.
there'll be tomorrow to worry about. I've got to thank you both. If somebody wanted to find out more and get involved, or just have a bit of a chin wag with you, how do they do that?
They can call Panikos. I think I'm hoping all our contacts are on our website.
Correct.
So if they want to contact anyone like that, we're also excited. We've got a new general manager starting in a couple of weeks for us, so we're really excited. She'll bring another level of this sort of stuff to us. So yeah, I'm excited, Mike, where it's going to take us.
Panikos Spyrou and Russell Hall, I've got to thank you so much for your time. And this is a good news story, and we do need many of those at the moment. Thank you so much for your time. This is the Country Telegraph.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
So Wild Mountain straddles a ridge that runs up to the McPherson Range, which runs east-west, and that's the New South Wales-Queensland border. We want to move people. We want them to be engaged with the natural world and to realise that there is a place where you can come, where you can get back in touch with nature, be with like-minded people who are interesting and varied, from young and old.
It's really amazing to be here on the ground with incredible organisations like Wild Mountains. They're really the backbones of communities. So we're really proud to be able to support organisations like this to withstand disaster risk that they might face and continue to do the good work that they do into the future.
In 2019, the fires came to within about 12 kilometres, and If we need to evacuate, we have the potential for leaving and turning on a sprinkler system that allows the water to keep going for at least 8 hours to keep the buildings damp and stop ember attack, which I think is wonderful. And I think that RSEQ helping support the community in that, I think is great.
Buy Australian made and you're backing local jobs, a stronger economy, and the way we live right here. Australian made, made right here.
The 2026 Basin Plan Review is currently underway, marking a major milestone for water management in Australia's largest river system. Managed by the Murray-Darling Basin Authority, which is the MDBA, the review evaluates the effectiveness of the 2012 Basin Plan and will recommend future adaptations. Now, Chris Lay lives at Lake Boga. He's the celebrity of Lake Boga. He keeps telling me that. Very important person. In the heart of the Murray-Darling Basin. He was a dairy farmer and has long experience of the Murray-Darling Basin Plan and the issues in his area. Now we'll speak to Chris about some of those issues and how it's all looking. Chris, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for the opportunity once again.
I love the hat.
Thank you. I'm feeling very, very country at the moment.
You are. I mean, tell me about it before I get into the next bit. Tell me about the hat.
Well, actually, in fact, this is a hat that my children, my adult children, gave to me for my birthday. So it's an Akubra Traveller hat. And I'm doing a lot of that, Mike. So I feel the hat's very appropriate to wear.
Tell me about the. I think last time we spoke, we were talking about all sorts of things. Wasn't as gloomy as what we have at the moment. This fuel crisis is a real bugger, isn't it? What's the reaction from the locals in the area, and how's it looking?
I think everyone is trying to take a deep breath at the moment. There's a little bit of anxiety with fuel supply, but I think, and speaking to a lot of farmers, businesses, I think they're quietly confident that everyone just should take a deep breath and things will go along as normal, providing no one just gets crazy. And I did actually happen to see a gentleman rock into town yesterday with his trailer with 16 jerry cans in his trailer. So he was a bit panicked because he can't get fuel delivered to his farm. So I figure that's probably fair enough. He needs a bit of fuel for his four-wheel drives and his tractors. So, but yeah, I said I'm impressed with the collection of jerry cans, shapes, sizes, and colours.
It's pretty worrying.
A lot of commentary in town. He spent most of his time trying to defend his position. So,
and he'd be buying beers all round. I would imagine.
Maybe so.
And he should too, because the last thing we want is panic buying. And I do understand if you're miles away from anywhere, kilometres away from anywhere, you got to have that. You got to have that juice in the tractor and the truck and the car, don't you?
Absolutely, and that's what we're finding at the moment. We're sort of having this cycle of fuel service stations and fuel outlets actually out of fuel for a number of days until their trucks arrive. Robin Vale was the most recent one this week in our local government authority. So and different outlets are experiencing some shortages, but generally I think it's flowing enough for there to be supply. But the price is really quite breathtaking. I think the diesel was close to $3 here in Swan Hill, Lake Boga, a litre for diesel.
Let's talk about another possible stuff up. The review's underway at the moment for the Murray-Darling Basin Plan Review 2026. Can you tell us about why this is happening and when's this report due?
Well, it's in a bit of a consultative stage at the moment, so there's a lot of encouragement for all groups across their communities to make submissions to the Murray-Darling Basin Authority, and they will then be considered for a secondary round of, I guess, consultations, which are probably more focused on groups when that actually happens, be it user groups, be it business groups. But I think they're asking for submissions that things around climate adaptation, which we're hearing a lot about, things relevant to First Nations peoples. So they're asking for commentary on more than just water. It's about environment. It's about the First Nations people. We're looking at environmental outcomes at the moment. Now, this basin plan's been in long enough now for us to start seeing some outcomes. So I think they want a lot of commentary on that. I think the thing that's impacting people the most across particularly the southern basin, along the Murray region, rivers and Darling and the Murrumbidgee rivers, are the social and economic impacts. What we're seeing, Mike, is the change in social structure and which is businesses moving out of town, schools closing, more farmers owning more land, just sort of cope with having less water allocations and those sorts of things. So we see, I think the social and economic impacts will be quite far-reaching, and I'm really quite interested to see some of the submissions in that respect. I mentioned First Nations people. I think there's been more involvement there, particularly with what's been going on in the Darling or the Barker River. So yeah, there are some of the things that we're looking at the moment. Being 13 years since the implementation of the plan, I think it's like I mentioned, we've got to see some outcomes now, and things that I've observed in my local area, with managing river flows to, I guess, replicate or to mimic flood cycles. That's been a really interesting thing. Some and arguably the old timers, those older generations who have seen a lot, and say that the Murray-Darling plan has interfered with probably the natural cycles, even though we think we're doing good. So these are some of the things that we're going to see in the commentary.
I read at the top of the hour just some brief headlines. I just want to read this to you and get your thoughts on this. The Victorian Farmers Federation says the Murray-Darling Basin Authority's own analysis shows further water buybacks are unlikely to deliver significant improvements in environmental objectives across the basin and zero improvements in any Victorian river systems, including the Victorian Murray. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I tend to agree with that. I mean, the water buybacks since the inception of the plan, and particularly in the early stage of the plan, we saw enormous buybacks, and we saw the emergence of water trading organisations and companies, and I think that is what we've seen most of, and the buybacks arguably have not achieved an outcome that I think the government was espousing the virtues of. So I think I would agree with that statement from the Victorian Farmers Federation. Absolutely.
Who are the main supporters of the plan, besides government, of course?
What's really interesting is I'm finding across this particular part of the southern basin and the local government authorities on both sides of the river, they're very reluctant to be outspoken against the basin plan. I guess they don't want to bite the hand that feeds, and so it's disappointing because I think the organisations that are losing the most in this whole thing with the basin plan are the local government authorities, particularly those who occupy areas that are benefit from the activities in the basin in their local government area. So the Swan Rural City Council, for example, or across the river in New South Wales, the Murray River Shire. Murray River Shire has had enormous buybacks. I think some of the most significant parcels of land, the Yanga Station was actually bought back by the New South Wales State Government in the buybacks, and with allocation. So, and that has impacted greatly the outcomes of economic development in the Murray River Shire, which was formerly the Walkle Shire. And here in the Swan Rural City Council, well, we're seeing it's now starting to harm the activities of horticulturalists, those who grow vegetables, fruit, table grapes and wine grapes and that sort of thing. So I think in reality, the most outspoken groups are, of course, the farmer groups, irrigation groups, the farming organisations like the Victorian Farmers Federation, the National Farmers Federation are having some say, but they're all sitting on the fence there. Of course, they're all nationals. So that's what's going to happen there. But I think the reality is they're seeing what's actually happening. They're seeing things change. They're seeing the social fabric of their communities change. So there's no argument that it's not impacting and in some ways adversely.
And just finally, do you think the plan should be abolished? Is it possible to do that?
How do you put the genie back in the bottle, Mike? I do not know how that's done.
Give it a good rub.
Yeah, well, maybe if we watch enough of I Dream of Jeannie, maybe it's all possible. But look, I mean, and look, it's no secret. I've been saying ditch the plan for a long time, and things like going. You can't wind back the clock. But what you can do is change policy. What you can do is say, okay, let's return the allocations to farmers before deregulation, and let's get back to common sense management of our river systems in way of allowing the rivers to run, irrigation water to flow, food to be grown, and get back to that type of management before the things like deregulation started to interfere with how things are managed. Because deregulation, what we did see, Mike, and I'll just briefly touch that deregulation saw the dramatic emergence of water trading out of the river systems. So that is not a good thing. So let's return the water allocations back to those people who most benefit from it, the farmers, and can give back to our economies, our national economy, and our state and local economies, and also stop corporatising water entitlements, because those people who are holding the water entitlements are the large corporations who have the capacity to buy large amounts, large entitlements. I think I might have mentioned in previous interviews, some of our well-known politicians are amongst that group of people who own a large amount of water entitlements.
Maybe, wouldn't it be terrible to say that politicians could be a bit naughty at times? I mean, that's just a terrible thing that I would ever say that they would.
Can't imagine it ever happening, Mike.
No, not
being naughty.
Not in our lifetime. Look, if somebody wants to find out more, or just have a bit of a chat with you, because you have hit on some very good points there, and I totally agree with you. And I think we need to know more. And sometimes it's not so bad going backwards, because and then looking at going forward again, because at the moment it would seem that by going forward it's sort of like we're all blindfolded and walking through a maze, and at the end of the maze, if you take that wrong door, there's a very steep drop, and that's what's going to happen to many of our people on the land. We don't want that happening. If somebody wants to find out more though, Chris, from you, how do they do that?
Yeah, sure. Look, if you jump onto the Citizens Party website, all my contact details there. If you actually Google me, you can find my contact details. They're all public. So, and I have been getting some emails and some phone calls in from, I guess, from your viewers and other people. So that system does work. So yeah, feel free to jump on and ask me any sorts of questions in related to the basin plan or other things that actually the plan has not even discussed. I've been reading through the basin plans review and some things that they are suggesting they may look at, but some of the things that, and this might be something to discuss in a future time slot, Mike, is okay, well, what about where can we add more water to the basin? And things like major water projects, and these have not been considered. Well, it's all about reduction, not increase. So I think there's a lot of scope for that, and I know that's been considered. The New South Wales State Government were quietly considering a major project. That was the Clarence River Diversion Scheme. So these are things that haven't been considered. It's all been user pay, and things that governments have been saying in the past. No more dams. If you want a dam, you pay for it. So I think it's not a very sustainable approach to the future if you want to put more water in the basin, and buybacks aren't going to do it, Mike.
Yep, agree. Chris Lay, by the way, Easter, you may have forgotten about it, but the bunny does come to Lake Boga. You'll have to be checking under your in the chook house or something like that.
You're right, Mike. I think I've spotted a bilby running around, the Easter bilby.
Put away that 12 gauge. We don't do that anymore. Chris Lay, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everyone, and happy Easter, everybody.
And same to you too. And it's always nice to chat to. So have a great and a very safe Easter. And
thank you.
Good luck with your driving, because you've got to find the fuel to get from A to B. So good luck with that one.
Well, that's all right.
Chris Lay, out hunting for that rabbit. This is the Country Telegraph.
G'day, Troy Casadale here. I've been travelling around this country playing music for more years than I'd like to remember. I've spent a lot of time on stage, but I reckon I've spent more time on the roads getting to gigs. And honestly, I've seen worse behaviour on the roads than I've seen at any concert of mine, and often from people who have years of experience behind the wheel. It's probably been a while since a lot of us have really thought about our driving, so take a sec and think about what you can do to help keep yourself and others safe on the roads. Us mob are almost 3 times more likely to die in a road crash than the rest of the population. So let's change that. Drive safely. Don't get distracted by the phone or others in the car, or get hot-headed or any of that stuff. You wouldn't do inconsiderate things outside a car, so why do them in one? Don't let a car change who you are. Safer driving starts with you.
What is sunburn? Sunburn is a sign that we've had too much sun. So when we get too much UV on our skin is damaged and the cells become inflamed and they become red. And that's sunburn. Sometimes it can peel, sometimes it can blister even. And it's a sign that our skin cells are damaged. And that damage in time can cause skin cancer.
And welcome back to the Country Telegraph, going to the other side of Australia now, to WA. Sam Starcevich is co-founder and president, Farmers Across Borders. She's also a broadacre farmer from Salmon Gums, WA, and heavily involved in the community and volunteering. First of all, Sam, thanks for joining us again. Nice to see you.
Morning. Yeah, no, thanks. I made it.
Tell me, the first thing I have to ask everybody, how's the lack of juice for the vehicles going in your part of the world?
Yeah, sort of our local fuel distributors sharing it around, so everybody gets some. We have started seeding. Yeah, so no, it's a bit of an issue, but we're managing.
Since we last spoke, tell me, has there been any developments? Because last time we spoke, your current government wasn't going to put their hand in their pockets to help out at all with the hay. Anything new? Can you shock me?
No, unfortunately, apart from the fact that no, they're not going to help. Their solution is the pastoralists buy the feed themselves, or they get a federal grant, which takes 10 weeks to arrive. And if you've got livestock dying, you sort of need the feed immediately.
Tell me about how much hay. How much hay? I suppose. Yeah, it's right English. I'm sort of doesn't sound right. Do you have plenty of hay? And
Yes.
and are you getting it somehow to the farmers and so they can feed their animals?
Yes, so we've got about 4,000 bales. That's the large 500 to 700 kilo bales stored in a safe facility. At this stage, we did have to pull up and not be able to deliver because we ran out of funds, but we are starting to get a few funds trickle through from a couple of mining companies and stuff like that. So we've got a triple road train going up next week up north. Some of the guys got hit by Cyclone Narelle as well, so she's caused a bit of havoc, and others missed out completely.
It's terrible, isn't it? What support do you need at the moment for your organisation?
It's still just funds for fuel. That's what we need. We've got the feed. We just, and it's going into some of those remote locations. Fuel supply is an issue. So it's just making sure that there's fuel there for the guys to get back after they have delivered, and paying for it.
What can our audience do to help? I suppose but what makes it even more difficult is that the lack of fuel. And we had a company on before talking about biofuels. I mean, man, do we need that sort of stuff at the moment? But not only is it getting the vehicle to deliver that hay, it's also having the juice to get from A to B, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and that's the thing, like delivery. It seems to be delivery supply issues. So, some of the stations have managed to get a bit on station, which they're going to fill the trucks up with, which has been great. They've got some fuel from some mining companies, which will help out. So, but no, our main thing is, still just, and it's hard at this time. Everyone's struggling, but if there is anyone that does want to support, it's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, it's very hard. I have got no suggestions. I don't know what to do. So I think the fuel, at your state, I think you're in emergency rationing or something now because of your state government. Oh, we missed COVID. Let's lock everyone down. Something like that.
Oh, yes. No, according to them, there was no issue. I think our local fuel prices in Salmon Gums, it's $3.50 at the Roadhouse, and Esperance is $3.25 for diesel. So it's not a cheap exercise going anywhere. But we'll just keep on going. We're just seeding and getting on with stuff.
Now tell me, what do you do during Easter in Salmon Gums? Do you tell us? Do you go out and watch the footy, or do you? What do you do?
No, so we've just been moving machinery this morning, so we've just got our vetch in the ground. We'll pull up for a few days, have a few days off, but we're actually hooking on the camper and heading out bush for a couple of days.
Where did you get your fuel from?
In my tank. We're not going very far. That's the luxury of being some of the last farmland before the Nullarbor. We don't have to go very far to be out away from everyone. So it's,
we'll have to have a chat later, Sam, about that. But I look forward for a price. Sam Starcevich, if somebody wants to find out more about what you do, how do they do that?
Jump on our website, Farmers Across Borders, or our Facebook page. Contact details are there.
Sam Starcevich, always a pleasure. Have a great break, because you do deserve it, and we'll chat very shortly in the very near future. This is the Country Telegraph.
Australian made means made right here in Australia. But it's more than just where it's made. It means made by Australians, backing local businesses and jobs. Made for the way we live, right here. It's why buying Australian made just feels right. Australian made, made right here.
Hi, I'm Scotty Prince, former NRL player for 16 years. I hadn't been playing for the Broncos very long when I lost my dad in a car accident. It was only a couple of weeks after my 21st birthday, and it was pretty difficult. I think about my dad every single day. None of us think it can happen to us, but you just never know. You might think you're a safe driver, but no matter how experienced you are, it's important to think about what you can do to keep yourself and others safe on the road. Sometimes being behind the wheel can bring out the worst in us, and we get angry and impatient and do stupid things. But don't let a car change who you are. Safer driving starts with you.
I love this time of the year. It is beautiful. Tenfield's just got a lovely climate.
Just transports you to another world, or the beautiful gold and red hues on the trees and the confetti on the floor of the tree leaves. It's just wonderful.
I just can't believe how fantastic this market is. It's the best I've seen.
We've got the market stalls here today. We've got the vintage cars over behind, Cobb & Co coach rides, which are very, very popular. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, really excited to go and do the Cobb & Co horses as well.
We can sort of reminisce. A lot of them cars we've seen before, back when we were kids.
This year's festival is just bigger than ever. We've had, I think, over 70 market stalls booked in, lots of other events happening, and there's just so many people in town as well as locals taking the opportunity to really enjoy this great weather that we're having. And this is our signature event for Tenterfield every year because of the autumn colours.
And welcome back. Looks magnificent. Autumn is the best time of the year in the beautiful country town of Tenterfield, New South Wales. Situated in the New England and Granite Belt region of northern New South Wales, they have some of the best autumn colour in all of Australia. There's fun for the whole family over the Easter long weekend, and a great chance to experience one of Australia's best historic towns. Now, the Tenterfield Autumn Festival events are over the Easter long weekend, but they have had already some early events from the 28th of March 26. It's just that great and that big. First of all, our guest is the Mayor of the Tenterfield Shire Council. A different hat from yesterday, Bronwyn Petrie. Mayor Petrie, thank you for joining us.
Oh, look, my pleasure. And yeah, different hat today, different location, not Sydney Airport today, in one of our beautiful parks of Tenterfield, which we've the autumn colours are coming on really nicely. It's a little earlier this year, Easter, but it's shaping up very well.
Tell us about Tenterfield itself. I mean, it's got a great name, and the vision that I've seen today and saw yesterday was just stunning. Tell us about the area.
Oh, look, I come from Western Queensland, and moving to Tenterfield, to me, it's novelty. I do miss big sky, but it has just so much history here. It's not just the place where Henry Parkes did his federation speech that galvanised the colonies joining into one federation. It's also Tenterfield Station. Back in the day, there were big stations around 100,000, 120,000 acres. Tenterfield Station was the one here, and it was owned by the first Premier of New South Wales, who happened to be the last man to have a duel in Hyde Park with one of the explorers. I think it was because the explorer decided to gazette a town out of part of his paddocks here. And look, they've got beautiful heritage buildings, beautiful landscapes. We're on that eastern fall, tablelands, then into the eastern fall. So we have very dramatic scenery to the east, and wild rivers, waterfalls, everything, you name it. And it's a large shire, and the change in the scenery is quite dramatic as you head north to the northern end. It's all volcanic plugs and basalt soils. We're at the we're still on the granite belt, but we're also northern tablelands. So we've got this great 4 seasons a year, if not even in one day. But look, it's to me, it's great novelty living in Tenterfield. I've been here for just over 40 years now and I love it.
Tell us about the event itself.
Yeah, as you said, we started last week with a Banjo Patterson musical, and that's because Banjo Patterson actually got married here to the daughter of the manager of Tenterfield Station. A lot of people aren't aware of that, so we've got a real connection to Banjo. But the main events are over the weekend. So all the open gardens are happening. Cobb and Co's back again. That's my job for 2 days, is getting people on and off Cobb and Co coaches, as well as various hospitality venues. We've got a huge market. It's even bigger than last year, and everything's sort of centred around the adjoining parks. We've got this great park scenery and connected parks along our creek that goes through town. There's platypus in our creek too. A very healthy landscape here. And so we'll do the markets, lots of kids' activities. Cobb and Co. will do Lions Easter brekkie Sunday morning. We'll have big Easter egg hunt, and we do thank all our sponsors for all our events. And then we're having kite flying comp, as well as the first time an adult inflatable animal costume race. So people got to get dressed up in these inflatable costumes and race while the kids are flying the kites. And we've got quolls here. So we have a sanctuary here called Quoll Headquarters, and so they're opening up over the weekend for people to be able to do those tours. And we've got another interesting thing happening, which is geocaching, which I'd never heard of before. That's where people have this like treasure hunt using GPS thing on their apps. And so it's going to be the first one that involves a train ride tomorrow from Stanthorpe to Ballindine and back, because we sort of back onto Stanthorpe Shire, Southern Downs, and all sorts of stuff happening. And of course the vintage cars that were mentioned before.
So I'm just thinking the animal race. Do they have to have a drink beforehand?
They might need one after. So we've got
I think it's brilliant. Just absolutely stunning.
I saw a photo of my sister, who happens she'd moved back to Charleville, where I grew up, to be the principal of the convent school there. And there was this picture on their Facebook page, and they were having a teachers' race where they all had to dress up in these inflatable animal things. So I said, where did you get these from, and how do we do it? So that's going to be an interesting event on the Sunday, and I think there'll be a bit of a cheer squad for some of these adults, and it's good. The parents can be doing that while the kids are doing the kites. We've also got a beautiful historic home that's undergoing extensive refurbishment, and so that's going to be open for people to have a look in there. We've got a floral arranging workshop as well, but the open gardens will be really magnificent, but lots of other entertainment happening around the place.
It sounds fantastic. What about the numbers? How many do you expect?
Well, we normally get quite a few thousand people here. We have had, we're up to 100 market stalls, and then we had, I think, 3 or 4 pull out, but we've had others replace those. And we've only had just a few cancellations, but we've got people coming from as far away as Tasmania who are here already, and a gentleman coming from Wollongong. I think he wants to get on a Cobb and Co coach. But we do get a lot of people who come down from southeast Queensland, as well as the north coast of New South Wales, because they want to experience the cool climate and the colours. The colours are great.
And I would imagine accommodation, because, I mean, if you get a full house, there's going to be some probably disappointed people. If somebody wanted to find out more about accommodation in the area, because they may have to travel a bit of a distance, how do they do that? Where do they go to?
Well, all our accommodation venues do have websites, but we do have a tenterfieldautumnfestival.com.au website. It's pretty easy to find. Also Facebook, Instagram. The Chamber of Commerce run the tourism centre, so it's called Tenterfield Information Centre. You could also contact them, but we do have quite a few accommodation venues, and from everything from several caravan parks right through to high-end boutique accommodation, where 2 of our very old hotels have had the upstairs gutted and turned into en-suited bedrooms, which are just fabulous, and some really good eateries as well.
Mm-hmm. And we have to talk about the sponsors and the volunteers. Let's give the sponsors a plug, and let's talk about how great the volunteers are, including yourself with the Cobb and Co.
Yeah, so I'm the treasurer of the Autumn Festival, but our president, Kim, is also president of the Lions Club. Lions Club are really great. They and the high school kids, they do the Easter morning brekkie, and they run the kids' Easter egg hunt. So they've been been really busy. We've had some local sponsors as well as Coles who sponsor our Easter egg hunt, and our local member, Janelle Saffin. But we've got lots of businesses here who are great sponsors, from our metal machinery fabrication place, D2B Fabrications, and Thomas Rural, Newfie and Harcourts, the Royal Hotel, the Tavern. We've just got even Horseland, because they own Tenterfield Saddler here, and which is a great place for people. It's probably our most visited building is Tenterfield Saddler, due to Peter Allen's song. We've got great museums that are going to be open over the weekend, from the Henry Parkes one up to really gorgeous railway station, Centenary Cottage, even the quarantine from the Spanish flu. The borders actually were shut 100 years ago, in a bit over now, in 2019, not just COVID, but Spanish flu. They shut the borders here between New South and Queensland as well. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting place. Lots to do, something to do for everyone. But we have so many sponsors, and we're really grateful to them.
Now, we had a guy on before, Chris Lay, and he had a brand new Akubra hat. Tell me about your one. I think they look great.
This one's been around for a while. It sees a lot of work in the cattle yard, and I've always got a hat on. I grew up in Western Queensland, and back then, like I'm an early 60s baby, and back then you weren't as sun safe. And at 19, I did have a skin cancer on my arm, and so after that, hats all the time. So this one's been seen around the traps quite a bit, but they wear really well. I was pretty disappointed when it's been harder and harder for rural outfitters to access the Akubras to sell them. And so unfortunately we do see a few American models coming in. So Twiggy, get your act together, please, and let our country businesses sell Akubras again, please.
Good on you. I think the hat looks magnificent, and I tip my hat to you, ma'am. Now, if somebody wants to find out more about all the events, what's happening, this magnificent festival, how do they do that?
Well, our website is tenterfieldautumnfestival.com.au, but if you just type in Tenterfield Autumn Festival, it'll come up, and make sure and it's got all the events, the program. So we do have a printed program with everything from tomorrow right through till Monday, and it's also on Facebook, just under Tenterfield Autumn Festival, and Instagram, and any other questions about accommodation or what's on, and you can send questions in there, or you'll find me online at Tenterfield Council anyway, even though this is a different hat I'm wearing today than the mayoral one, but I'm contactable by phone as well, except for a bit of today. We've got campers down in our river country, so I've got to go and sort some things for those, and then back into it, full on festival. Lots of juggling.
Oh, sausage sizzling. Now we're talking. I think Bunnings, by the way, do a really mean job. Nothing better than going to pretend to buy some hardware, and what you do is you pop in for a couple of snaggers with onions and white bread and sauce. No mustard, because mustard is very American. We want just sauce, onions, white bread, and flies.
And onions on top.
That's right, and the flies. Don't forget them. They always come with an Aussie barbecue.
Yeah, no, is that the Aussie wave?
But then it rains. If you mention the word barbecue, I've put the moss on you already. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I was just pretending. But look, the other thing we've got here, we have this hay bale trail. So if people go on our Facebook page, you can see it, and our website. We give hay bales to people, the big round ones, and they decorate them in all sorts of very creative things over the years. So I've been doing every year we have a Mardi Gras pink bunny in one of our parks, advertising that the festival's on. That's my job. And but some of the others, they're very creative. So it's, even if you can't get here, go and have a look at some of these great hay bale creations that people have been doing.
Absolutely fantastic. I think you're an amazing person, and you did Queensland proud until you moved to that other place called New South Wales.
Oh no, go Maroons.
I know, but my wife has a thing about, she loves New South Wales, but couldn't live there. Got to stay in Queensland. So anyway.
Oh, I'm only 18 kilometres across the border, so I haven't gone
Yeah,
far.
but you're still in the foreign territory, Bronwyn.
I am, but, state of origin time, I'm a true blue Queenslander, and I remember years ago my husband had a bad accident, so I went driving big trucks in the coal mines to keep the farms going, as one does, and a big distance away. Anyway, and my son joined me up there, and I'd come across this beautiful Queensland jersey framed in a business in Toowoomba. Anyway, for years he was trying to get me to find one. Anyway, I found one and I saw the price of it. Anyway, I nearly had a heart attack. I had the pain going up my left arm, and anyway, I admitted to him that I bought it, and I said, now we're eating peanut butter sandwiches for the week because we've got $18 left.
Good on you. I mean, but it's footy, and that's more important than eating.
Yeah.
All right, take care. Look, Bronwyn, I appreciate it. Again, thank you so much. We must do more of these things.
And I'm sure we'll have we've got great weather forecast, and it can
Fantastic.
rain. And lots of rain after, please.
Yes, after. Even though I mentioned the word barbecue, it's which will bring the rain, but hopefully the good Lord is going to delay it just for a few days. Have a great Easter.
We do need rain, but from Monday on, thanks.
Good on you. All right, take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful event and a great Easter.
I'm sure we will.
I'm sure you will. This is the Country Telegraph.
Welcome to the first advocacy update for 2026 for QFVG, where we keep you informed on the latest advocacy and policy work that we're doing on your behalf. The thing I keep hearing about the most is business profitability, and everything we do at QFVG advocacy-wise needs to be centred on that. So that means two things: focusing on the prices that growers get paid and how they are treated by other parts of the supply chain, and focus on the things that will affect their costs of production. So with that in mind, here's what we've been working on. The Horticulture Code of Conduct is being reviewed for the first time since its introduction in 2017, and QFVG has been working with regional groups and peak industry bodies to gather feedback on what is and isn't working, so we can put forward your views. We've also been working with the reviewer, Mr. Chris Leptos, and his team to arrange regional consultations directly with growers. We've worked with Bundaberg fruit and vegetable growers to arrange a town hall style meeting on Tuesday the 31st of March, and I'd encourage you to get involved. If you can't be at any of those meetings, I would encourage you to make contact with us. On food standards, there are two consultation processes going on at the moment. The first is on how to implement nationally agreed food safety standards for berries, melons and leafy green vegetables. The initial phase of work done by Safe Food Queensland on a cost recovery model was not well received by industry, and the Queensland Government has listened and asked DPI to go back to the drawing board. We're working with the three peak industry bodies to get the best outcomes we can for growers. The second consultation process that has just begun is a full review of the Food Safety Production Act, and this will occur throughout 2026. There's a consultation paper available at the moment on the DPI website, and DPI have asked for submissions by the 10th of April, and we will make a submission to that process. Please get in touch if you'd like further details on that. The Feral Pig Action Plan has been released by the Queensland Government for consultation, and we've had some great ideas come through from growers. Exclusion fencing in and around national parks, a register for legal and identified contractors, properly measuring the size of the problem across the state, and using area-wide strategies and approaches rather than individual farm approaches. We're working with the Queensland Farmers Federation to put these ideas forward as part of a whole of agriculture approach. And the last topic I wanted to raise today is workforce. It's fair to say that workforce is probably the most raised issue with me. There are so many elements. Federally, we've got the Fair Work Ombudsman and Commission, to migration issues and regulation of the PALM scheme. And of course, at state level, we have some big ones here too. Payroll tax, workplace health and safety, and work cover. There's no doubt in my mind that QFVG needs to be spending a major portion of our time on these challenges, and I'll be looking at the best ways that we can capture your feedback on these vital topics on an ongoing basis. So stay tuned for that. Thank you to everyone who's been in contact and provided feedback. Your input is vital to our work. And as always, we've got your back.
And welcome back to the Country Telegraph. Joe Morrow is Chairman of Queensland Fruit and Vegetable Growers, a state industry body for commercial horticulture. He's been a casual director since 20th of November 2015. It's very casual. It's probably permanent, and chairman since the 25th of November 2022. Joe's an experienced farmer and proprietor of the family farming business. That's A. Morrow and Sons. First of all, Joe, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know about permanent. I think I got an exit plan to get out. So,
but I bet you've forgotten how to exit.
Oh no, they put it in the Constitution. You can only be there for so long. So I know how to get out now.
So you can only do it for so long. But the thing is, how long is so long?
Well, you got 2 terms as a director, but you get an extra one if you become chair. That's how they con me into staying for an extra 4 years.
Yeah, good on you. I reckon you enjoy it anyway, and you're doing a great job.
No, I do enjoy it, and I've always been very passionate about the industry.
Absolutely fantastic. Tell us about the industry. It's going through some tough times. I mean, the whole country is now, because of the lack of fuel, but it's a tough gig, isn't it, to do what they're doing at the moment?
It's not for the faint-hearted. Let me put it that way. But yeah, you're right. And it's really been a mixed bag the last 10 years, I think, from coming through COVID and then coming out of COVID, cost of production rising. It's been rising for the industry over that whole period, and it's been causing huge problems with viability. And now on top of that, we've just had the massive blow. When maybe we were just about looking forward to maybe some stabilisation in the industry, but now these fuel prices and the on effect to all our inputs, everything from fertiliser to plastics we use, you name it, anything that's transported and anything that's made from petroleum products is just gone up, and hearing shortages all over the place and different things which people probably don't realise are coming through the pipeline.
Do you think, I don't think pollies understand at all because they get into this sort of what's the word? Sort of a day-to-day thing, a bit of a habit. They send the wife out or the husband out to get some food from the supermarket, and that's as much consideration that they give the rural and the regional sectors. But it's a very tough gig. Are they doing enough? I mean, I can probably tell you'll say no. How can they do better?
Well, yeah, the biggest, one of the areas which has really hurt farmers is the overall compliance and not being able to pass on their costs through the system. And consumers obviously are paying more at the checkout, and we appreciate that. But farmers are also squeezed at the other end because their costs have been rising, and they haven't been proportionally going through the system, which means, unfortunately, that maybe consumers would pay more, which is also it's not a good outcome for continuing to sell our products to the consumer. So it's a very catch-22. What government could do, they could really take the foot off the pedal on a lot of red tape that they bring in, a lot of regulations. So my CEO is talking about workplace safety, HR laws. There's so many things that have just put the cost onto us, and we unfortunately cannot pass it on. And that's why you're seeing a lot of farmers leave. And I think in the long term, you will see prices go up even further because there'll be less farmers around in our industries, because most of them want to get out. They're just trying to find a way to get out.
But how would they get out? I mean, it's you've got to have a buy for it, and what happens is that they get just bigger and bigger, and all of a sudden, we've seen it before, that they're too big and they can't control the expenditure because the costs are very, very, very large. Where do they go from here though? Because I mean, and I read somewhere, it was one of the rural newspapers this week, that the veggie growers, about 20, I think almost 25% of those growers are saying either they're going to cut back their production or none at all, and that's not good for Australia, is it?
No, it's not good. It's not good for Australia. It's not good for regional towns because at the end of the day they provide the I guess the inertia to employ people, and those people spend their pay packets back in those towns, whether they're local Australians that are working hard in our industry, or whether they're backpackers coming through, and even people that are in the palm program. But you asked the question. I would say that every farm is on the market for sale, but the problem is they want to leave with a good price so they can retire with dignity, and that's the catch-22. There aren't that many buyers and we're seeing farmers being stuck on the land. So the only option they do have is to probably scale back, and that's an option for vegetable farmers. But some of the tree croppers, and I'm a tree cropper, I'm a mango farmer. You have to sell your land to someone else, or you abandon the orchards, which is a very difficult thing to do because it causes a lot of problems internally in your farm. It's not just a matter of we'll just pull out 10,000 trees. It's very costly even just to do that. So it's very difficult for farmers that want to get out, how to get out, unless there's a buyer there, like you pointed out. There are not many buyers out there, and unless the industry is in a healthy situation where they would, a buyer would come in to invest. But even that may be not the best outcome, because what you're seeing is a consolidation, and you're seeing bigger and bigger entities, and some of them are not farming entities or family farms. They're very corporate structured organisations, and they also impact negatively in the regional towns because a lot of their business is done out of Brisbane or Sydney and even Melbourne in some cases. So it's the industry's changing, and I think it's getting corporatised. I'm not sure people are really going to recognise us in 20 years' time and say a lot of mistakes were made back in the 2020s.
We see what's happened with the fuel. We rely on it being bought from overseas, and I can see the agricultural industry, horticultural farmers and stuff, as they go out of business and leave the farm. We have to have that produce still here, and I can see it like in Hawaii, for example, where I used to live. They bring in everything comes in by ship mainly. And if we get to that stage, which we are getting to that stage now, it doesn't augur well for the future, does it? Because, we were as happy as pigs in mud until the Middle East stoush broke out. And now we've realised that we didn't do a whole lot of thinking about it. My dad always says the feet are dancing and the heads for thinking, and I think they got it wrong because we're in a terrible situation. And the same thing's going to happen to our produce, isn't it? I mean, they will, we will lose out, and we're going to have to bring in just about everything. That's just our security is put at risk. How do we stop that? How do we get back to a bit of common sense, Joe?
Look, I think we have to have a look at the whole supply chain, and how it's costed and how it works. I mean, you make an extremely good point there, and I think the best area to look at is processed product. 90%, well, maybe 90 is on the high side, but 80% at least is imported, and that means it comes on a boat and it's brought in from somewhere else. And all that processed product that people eat, they might think is local. They used to do a lot of beetroot in Queensland. That's all done in New Zealand. Although New Zealand is seen much more of a close friend of Australia, but at the end of the day, it's still imported. It still has to come on a boat. It has to come across that little bit of ocean. But a lot of other stuff comes from a lot further afield. And the fresh product is so far predominantly Australian, but is under threat because of what you just pointed out. The fuel cost increase is on what we call the freight rates. A lot of the transport companies, to remain viable, have increased their freight rates by the thing they call the fuel levy, which has seen 100% to 200% increases in costs to the farmer, and no mechanism to pass it on. And that's where a lot of them are thinking, especially the vegetable growers, well, maybe we won't plant as much this coming season, and they're making those decisions now.
It's a pretty scary stuff. What about, I mean, the most obvious is the cost of energy. Take away the fuel and stuff, you've got to pay for the electricity. And we see governments going down the path of renewables, which, as Malcolm Roberts says, the unreliables. That must worry the heck out of you too.
It does. It worries us in the sense that it's all these costs are going up, and the reliability, of course, is something we do worry about. But it's been fuel that's brought back, I guess, the very hard message about how we're reliant on power energy, and any hiccups in the system is a problem. The good news with electricity, besides the fact that we have a great sunlight, which makes those solar panels work, but they only work during the day and when it's not overcast. And when those occurs, we have to rely on traditionally still coal, and we've got an abundance of coal. So in that sense, we've got security, but we don't have as many coal power stations as we used to. So there is a concern there about what would happen if we did have a major, and we did have an experience in Queensland where one of the power stations had a bit of a problem, and they had to rely on other sources of power, and the price went up. So it is a concern, but fuel really highlights it the most right now. And some areas have got no fuel, and they're worried about either harvesting or getting their crops in the ground. But it's more the cost of it rising. And there has been some relief given by the government just recently, but whether or not it flows back to lower fuel rates for the trucking guys who then lower their freight rates is going to be interesting. A lot of the damage has already been done in the last 4 weeks.
Yep. I mean, you've had some pretty horrendous weather too. I mean, I can recall in a short space of time, 2 very strong, gentle sea breezes that have done enormous damage. Can you imagine though, if you had a couple of windmills up there, they'd end up in Esperance. They wouldn't come away.
Well, they actually survived, but the problem was with what the wind does to us. I mean, if you talk about Jasper, which was 3 years ago, and I had severe flooding on my farm, I had lots of water through my place, but the damage to the road infrastructure. I came up from Cairns yesterday, drive up the Coranda Range Road, which I don't know if you're familiar with, Mike, but it's been affected for 3 years. It's in single lane in 3 parts, and we're talking another 12 months, and that's 4 years by the time they might fix the road up. And that's just one of 4 roads, critical roads in the far north. And that impact, it's not affecting our movement of product, but it's caused a lot of stress to everybody, because sometimes they shut the roads at night and you can't come home. You have to go the long way. So there's a lot of distress. So our infrastructure's completely failed because of those cyclonic events and the rainfall they brought. And when I've seen where the water has fallen in other parts of Queensland and Northern Australia, and I just when I see the video of it, I know that they can clean up and it looks okay when you get there, say in a couple of weeks' time, but the infrastructure is going to be damaged for a lot longer. And that's my worry about the Middle East. They blow all these things up. They don't take 5 minutes to fix up. And we're going to see the legacy of a lot of these, whether they're natural disasters or man-made with this war that's happening in the Middle East. They're going to linger for 2 or 3 years, maybe longer.
Yep, I think and when Donald Trump says, I don't care about the Strait of Hormuz, you worry about that, after he went in and it's odd that a president or a country would go in, attack another country, and then withdraw, saying he's won, but the other country's in a stronger position. I've still, a few more scotches I think I need to help me understand his way of thinking, because it's going to last a long time, isn't it? You're going to have some very bad experiences, and we saw the Prime Minister last night come on and talk about nothing. But he came on anyway, and I think he was sort of trying to soften us up that the next few months or 6 months, maybe a couple of years, are going to be very tough for Queensland. Where does that leave your members and the farmers up there?
Well, they're very scared. They're extremely scared. I mean, I was the reason why coming back from Cairns, I'm a mango farm. We had some mango meetings, and the sense is of, and we finished our season, so we missed all the trouble, if I can put it that way. But we're thinking next next season, which is, if you're from the Northern Territory, that's only literally 6 months away. And, where are the prices going to be for all our inputs into what we need, from packaging to transport to our fertilizers, all our chemicals. So we know that we can't pass on the prices. Prices can't go up too much because the consumer then might not buy our product. So it's a very scary time. And I think a lot of the farmers are in that same boat. There's a lack of confidence, I think, that they will be able to get through this next period, considering we've gone through a very tough 10 years in the hort industry with a lot of changes that have occurred in the workplace environment, with wage rates, how we deal with casuals. There's been a lot of tightening up, which is good for the worker, but it's been bad for productivity and bad for business. So there's a lot of, I would say, farmers are scared. I was talking to some on Saturday at a function. They were not optimistic. They usually are, but they're very, very pessimistic, and they don't feel there's any answer there. And but they're not even sure government can help us.
Yeah, I look at our first guests were talking they were from QCAR, and how they've diversified with I think it's a brilliant project, and it's we have the resources in this country. We don't have to dig, just got to make sure the product grows, but they've diversified. Do you think with your industry, your members, there is, and we can only do so much, because if everyone diversifies to a particular, like for example, I lived in Sunraysia, and they'd all rip the grapes out and plant something else instead of just some doing it. Then you'd have the glut of that. So they rip all those out and go to something else. Do you think diversity is what you need at the moment with your industry? And you can't have everybody doing it, because all of a sudden what was there is no longer, and you have this glut of another product. So how do you combat it? Do you do what QCAR have done?
Well, look, some farmers have looked at, what they call it, vertical integration, which is, looking at value adding their product. And there is a market there for some farmers to go into what we call the agritourism sector, where they can do something different with their product. And there's a number of nice little, mango winery. I'm neighbours to one. There's a couple other liqueur businesses around, ice creameries, and the coffee industry up on the Tablelands has done a lot of wonderful things where people come up and they spend time at wonderful, coffee environment, drinking nice coffee. But not every farmer can do that. If all say 200 or say 20 or 30 in one particular industry changed a certain way, you don't have enough tourists. So it's limited. But changing from one crop to the next, you can strike it lucky for a period of time, but then once people look over the fence and say, well, look, there's money in avocados, I'll use that as an example, and we've got an overabundance of avocados growing on the tablelands now, and other industries of people looking over the fence and saying, well, I might go and plant that tropical tree. But with the tropical trees, once they're in the ground, it takes a while for the full impact to occur. Well, the vegetable crops can go in and out, but you still got to get a good price, and that's where the problem lies. I know a lot of farmers that used to make very good money from some crops because they knew that every third year there'd be no one in the business because they've all lost money the last 2 years. But now the cycle has got much longer. You might have to wait 7, maybe even 10 years before you get that bonanza crop to make up for all the losses you made the previous year. So diversifying is not the answer. I think we have to look at that whole supply chain and see where we can reduce the price increases, and maybe there forbid say bring the cost down. And there doesn't seem to be any way to make the system more efficient. Farmers are as efficient as they can be on the farm, but it's everything else that happens onwards after that sort of makes it harder for us. And there's a lot more compliance than what there used to be when I first became a farmer, which is really frustrating farmers, putting extra costs, and it's just, some of it's really ridiculous.
Yeah, I just, when we had the orchard, Dad ripped out the oranges and planted avocados not realising it takes a long time to grow an avocado tree. So we ate very well, but we didn't have very big meals because waiting for those damn avocado trees to grow. But he always found that the middleman, or the guy who would buy the produce at the market, he was always whinging about them, and rightly so. Can you eliminate the middleman when you deal with supermarkets? I know some have tried, but not all that successful. How do you get a better return for the guy that gets his hands dirty and rolls up the sleeve and does it tough?
Well, and that's the complexity of the industry now. We have different levels of, I guess, how we supply, and they refer to them as tiers. But I won't try to make it too confusing for everybody. But basically, growers that go through the market to the supermarkets, there's a middleman, and the middleman has to make a buck too. I'm not saying he's ripping off the system or nothing. All I'm saying is that there's a cost to go that way as well. The price that he gets the same as the price that the farmer that goes direct gets. So theoretically, the farmer that goes direct will get a better return. So a number of farmers have done that, but one of the problems you have when you decide to go direct is that you got to get bigger and you have to, get a certain level of production. So all those issues have flowed through, and you get different feedback from each of the way farmers deal with where they sell their product. So some of the people that are going direct are generally, I wouldn't say all happy, because it's never as straightforward as saying that, but there's a lot more ability to pass on some of the costs. There is more negotiation directly between them, but not every farmer can go down that road. It's like the question you asked me about diversification. It's not as simple as it looks. So, and that's what I meant when I said the industry is going to look different in, say, 10 or 20 years' time. I'm not sure people are going to be happy with that, how it looks, where you're going to see a much more corporatized, larger players, businesses that look more like a true company structure, a board of directors, a CEO running the business. And a lot of farmers will also tell you, well, they've never been successful, but it seems to be a growing trend. And I think that's what the nature of the change. Now, whether we like where we go as a society, and I know a lot of farmers don't like the idea that we're corporatizing, but that's where we're heading. And I think that's how the industry will survive, if it's going to survive and remain productive and viability. But it will have an impact on these regional towns, because the more you consolidate farmers, the people that live in the towns, that are permanently live in the towns, don't live in those towns anymore. They live in other places like more regional centres or even capital cities. And for example, solicitors, accountants are not used locally. They're used in the big cities. So all that fabric gets taken away. I'm not sure people are going to be happy with the end result of what's happening. It is changing. We're not seeing 100 farmers leave in a hurry and food disappearing off the shelves. But what you're seeing is a change in how it's done. And will it be good for Australia in the long run? I personally think not, but it's where we're heading.
Yeah, it's very sad. Now, if somebody wants to find out more about you, and we need to do more of these things, we played one of your videos before. Always welcome. Send us whatever you have, if we can help in any way. The offer is very sincere. If somebody though wants to have a bit of a chat to you or go to your website, and how do they do that?
Well, the website is the best place to do. Just type in QFEG on Google, and you'll get there quite easily, I'm pretty sure. And there's the contact details there. Our CEO is new, and he's very keen, and I think he's very keen to be in contact with people to find out what we should be doing and what policy direction we should be going. But the best port of call is to go to the webpage, and there's also media contacts there. But the contacts is the way to go, and I know, not hopefully, they will get back to you very quickly. And I do appreciate yourself, Mike, for giving us the opportunity to air what's going on in the industry. But we're just sort of coming out of it, and now this fuel thing has really knocked everybody over. So so it takes what can I say?
Well, you can say bloody Trump.
Well, it sounds like that's what I might say. Yeah, I probably would.
Yeah, but we can't say that on camera, can we? So I won't say that. I retract that, Your Honour.
Well, he is the president of America, and he is the most powerful man in the world. But God,
it doesn't mean he's sensible.
Yeah, he's a reckless man.
He is indeed. Joe Morrow, final question. What are you doing for Easter?
It's for me. It's the quiet time. So we do go away, and we'll end up at one of the local beaches, Trinity Beach. It's a nice place. We'll spend 3 or 4 days there with my family, and just relax and be quiet for a while, and do a bit of swimming and eating and laughing, and then come back to the farm and do a bit of hard work.
Yeah, a bit of a whinging too.
No whinging. That's the rule. No whinging.
I get out of it. You tell me a farmer that doesn't whinge, I'll tell you.
Well, we won't be whinging for 4 days. We can whinge the rest of the year.
Hey, I keep telling my wife, because I think North Queensland is God's country, and I would love to move just a little bit north of Port Douglas or even to Mission Beach. And my wife says, I'm not having some of the backyard critters in my place. So I think, bugger. But it's a great part of the world, and you are in God's country. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, and that's it, folks, for our show today. We are going to have a bit of a break. Good Friday and Monday, of course. Back on Tuesday, got some new program developments next week too. Have a great Easter. Drive carefully if you can get hold of the juice to make that vehicle go forward or backwards. Have a great Easter though. Drive carefully. Be kind to your neighbours. And more importantly in these days, after speaking to Trevor Hold yesterday, be kind to yourself because you do deserve it.